My main problem is the traffic coming through the village.
You can soon start damaging grass verges and the roads.
Noise, and there will be some sort of pollution.
The danger.
They don't particularly want to live near a gas storage site.
A major development to a relatively rural area.
In respect of the Aldbrough project, our plans are to consult very widely with the local people. We are going to listen to the questions that they have, hopefully answer them and allay their fears and concerns.
My understanding is further down the road, out of Aldbrough, is some caverns, gas caverns, where they're going to store surplus gas.
Well, they want to store some gas out in between Aldbrough and Garton, basically like the site they've got at Attic.
It's a buffering stock of gas, isn't it, to feed the power station at Salt End and also possibly to buffer off to the continent.
I see it as a storage area for natural gas, to be piped into the main grid.
We've always got to bear in mind that we have to have an energy facility as a country, and there's obviously very few places that a facility like the one that's at Attic, and there's probably going to be at Aldbrough, can go.
We need salt cavity storage to provide a safe and reliable supply of gas to the United Kingdom. And this storage needs to be within the United Kingdom itself. And to do that, salt cavities is the safest, most efficient method of storing gas.
The technical side I'm not too keyed upon, but the general principles of the gas storage, I've taken quite a keen interest in.
It involves drilling a couple of wells and putting mounds up around them, a couple of buildings, nothing too serious.
I understand there's just when it's completed, there'll just be a small hut to indicate that there's cabins there.
It will entail some construction of surface equipment, some offices, a building with a compressor house in, and some vessels and pipework. That will be on the surface, and that will take about 18 months to construct. But the vast majority of the development process of the site will be done underground, a mile underground, where the cavities are developed.
The main construction is the actual making of the salt cavities, which consists of taking seawater from out of the North Sea, pumping it down into the salt layer to make the cavities, and then pumping that salty water back out to sea.
There are a number of reasons why this particular area is favourable. If we look at the general situation, we're right at the edge of the Zechstein salt basin here, which extends eastwards through Denmark, Germany to Poland. The very western margin of the basin comes ashore, if we can use that term, in Yorkshire or below Yorkshire. It's about 5,000 feet down here, but it still gives us a minimum 100 metres thickness of salt that we need to develop storage cavities.
Being a resident and my children being in the village and hopefully continue to do so for a while, it's the impacts that I'm probably looking at from a resident's point of view.
My main problem is the traffic coming through the village.
The roads are narrow and it can be very congested. And with the size of the vehicles that they're going to have coming in, some of the corners are going to be difficult for them to negotiate.
My only concern about the site would be the traffic coming into Aldbrough, and especially using the junction at the garage. I'm quite concerned that it's a very sharp turn for larger lorries to come around there.
I think the traffic during construction should be bypassed across so that it doesn't impact at all on that junction with the Hornsea and the whole road.
It's got to be kept a close watch on so that there's not too much disruption and damage, because you can soon start damaging grass verges and the roads with heavy vehicles, and I don't think people want that.
Because we are local, we understood that there was a problem with access to the site, and we've been looking at putting a link road in across the difficult Aldbrough junction, And it's quite clear that the residents are very much in favour of that sort of idea.
We will be looking at road improvements. We will be looking at a small bypass to bypass the very sharp corner at Aldbrough village, and we'll be looking at the route all the way back to the main roads at Hull.
A lot of people just don't care one way or another. They don't see how it's going to affect them, so they don't really care.
I don't think there'll be very much impact on the village when the thing's running, but I'm very concerned about the building process.
There will be some lorries and there will be a drilling rig on site for approximately 30 weeks and that will be a little bit noisy, but we're hoping to limit the noise and limit the traffic on the road, so hopefully there will be very minimal disruption to the local residents.
I think there are going to be a lot of drilling rigs involved, quite tall ones, and if they're illuminated it will be bad and they'll be up for a while. It's just, as I say, the preparation of the things that are concerning me.
There'll be a lot more soundproofing on those rigs to allow the drilling process to go ahead as unobtrusively as possible.
Go to the site at Hornsey. Most people never get a chance to go and visit such a project. Take advantage of all the information and see it for what it is, that it's real information from professionals.
The fears seem to be the danger angle of an explosion. That's what seems to be the main concern.
Because basically, if it blows up, it's going to be too late for us to know about it. We're all going to be gone in a matter of seconds.
I think the fears are quite natural, but I think in many cases they will prove to be unfounded. There is virtually no problem whatsoever with underground storage of gas, and the 20-odd years that we've had experience of it proves that.
There's never been any problems with storing natural gas in salt cavities.
These cavities are exceedingly safe because they're a mile below the ground in a layer of salt which traps gas and has trapped gas over millions of years. That's why a lot of the gas is in the North Sea.
Salt rock, which is made up of a lot of interlocking crystals of halite, which is just common salt, is peculiar. It has certain properties, two of which are very important. One is that it is very soluble in water, so we can develop caverns very quickly, or relatively quickly and easily, by solution mining. And the second is, once you've made a cavern, it is effectively gas tight, so no gas leaks out of it.
For a major project, the developer has to carry out a study of all the environmental effects of that development, and then he has to present an environmental statement with his planning application which outlines what those effects will be, and also he has to outline in the statement what measures he will take to minimise impacts on the environment.
I think for everybody there's some concerns, and that would include myself, around such as the environmental factors that such a site would have. But I think when you look at some of the other sites that are in the area, such as at Attic and at Easington, I would hope that if the planning permission is given, that the same sort of degree of thought that went into those plans would be carried on here.
Environmental. This is a village out in the country, and I've seen what the British gas site at Attic used to be like at night. And it was like Hull Fair, in fact. It was very, very bright.
Lighting is a problem in general in the country, and we recognise that, and what we will do will be putting 3 levels of lighting on the site when it's finished, and that will be a very low level of lighting just for security reasons, and that's how it will be the majority of time.
But there is the 5 or 6 year time scale during which it's going to be built, and during that time there will be lighting, and there will be noise, and there will be some sort of pollution.
A few people are concerned of the noise level that may come away from the project itself, and a few people have raised objections about the lighting. It may be lit up on a night.
They are the latest style of drilling rig, not the the noisy rigs that they used to be, where they made light and noise and disturb the local countryside.
Well, I've driven past Attic a lot. I know the local farmers around Attic. My brother farms about 1.5 miles away from the storage site there, and he has no problem with the site.
You know, when you go by the sites at Attic, really you don't see anything at all because it's all being landscaped, and once the initial work has been done, it's blended into the community.
Landscaping is very important in the flat area that Holderness represents, and we've seen more trees planted since BG has been in the Attic area than we've seen it for many a generation.
There's no real major impact because they tend to plant well and screen, so when you give it 10-15 years down the road it tends to look okay.
In terms of the marine environment, they have gone to the local Hull University, the Institute of Estuarine and Coastal Studies at Hull, who have already a lot of experience of the marine environment offshore in this area, and they're doing a very detailed study of the seabed flora and fauna and the discharge, and modelling the discharge and doing dye tracing experiments and so on to try and establish exactly what the impacts will be on the marine environment.
We're doing exactly the same at Aldbrough as we have done here at Attic over the 20 years. So we've got considerable information about what happens to the marine environment, and in fact what happens is nothing. It stays just the same as it was, and we've got several reports which tells us that.
My main concerns is initially is what is Aldbrough going to get out of it? Why should Aldbrough put up with the inconvenience and the disruption if they're not going to get anything out of it?
And I think they should employ some local people living on the construction sites, getting it ready, and also what about training some of them up, because I know they need specialist people to operate it, but how about getting some local people trained up to take over the jobs?
For employment, I work outside of the village through the oil/gas industry on an offshore basis, but my initial introduction into the industry was via the development that's very similar to the one proposed to our village. That was the Hornsey storage.
We would see it as something positive coming into the village. We would foresee being able to maintain the number of staff that we currently have, and certainly to increase on that, to offer another 5-6 jobs to local people.
Most definitely, we will employ local people directly on the site itself, and all of our contractors will be employing local people anyway. It makes sense to employ local people.
I think it'll do this village rather a lot of good, both financially and provide jobs. Yes, there'll be a problem or two, I'm sure there will, but in general I've always have been for it.
Oh, I'm all for it. I think it'd be a tremendous asset for the village. You know, local jobs, local employment, and probably money coming into the area as well. I mean, everything revolves around money, unfortunately, nowadays, and I think it'd be a good investment into the area.
And they're very responsive. They're always keen to talk if you have a minor problem, even if there's an issue with transportation. They're keen to come down. They always come and see the village, the parish council, on a regular basis, and we have a very good relationship with them.
We will be putting a free phone number out where people can contact us at any time, and this free phone service will be there for if people are concerned about the mud on the roads or the noise that's going on or anything like that. Give us a call, we'll talk to you, we'll see what's going on, and we'll try and take action on any of the concerns that there is.